Okay, I'm going to talk about the two right boxes. Your right is over here, right? So there are two words, and Butch talked a little bit about it. One of those words was stewardship. And he didn't really define why it's called stewardship as much as he talked about the stewardship program at our church. So there's two different things going on. One is, his definition was about the stewardship program. And that's the program here at the church that talks about giving to the budget, pledging. You guys know what pledging means?
Yep.
What is it? What? What?
It's where you give money, something like that.
Yeah, but I can just give money without pledging it.
Don't you give a certain amount of money every month or something?
What?
You give a certain amount of money every month?
Okay, you spread it out, but that's still not pledging. What's pledging?
Honoring?
Honoring. It's closest to promise. So actually the pledging system is really just a piece of paper. It has nothing to do with the money. I mean, it has to do with the money because you're promising to give a certain amount during the year. And the church does that so that they can plan on how much money they're going to be bringing in so then they can budget different things. So, are you guys okay? You alright? I don't know, whatever game you got going on there. So, that's what a pledge is. Some people don't believe in a pledge. They don't believe you should make a promise because what if you can't keep it? It says in the Bible it's better to not promise anything than to promise something and not do it. It says don't take an oath in court because your word's not that great because you're human and you mess up. So, but I don't take it that far. Like I think here pledging is just saying, hey, this is what I'm going to give, and you think about it for a little bit. What's a good amount for me? And you decide. And some people maybe give up till they're comfortable giving, and then some people maybe go a little farther and stretch it and push themselves to give more. Because we're doing a lot at this church, so it's going to require people doing a little extra on the stewardship. But that's the stewardship campaign that includes the pledge. But that's not really the definition of stewardship, is it? I mean, why the word steward? What's a steward? I know, right? We talk about stewardship all the time. In November, it's every week on Sunday. And what does the word steward mean?
It's a guy from Family Guy.
Siri would tell you. Yes, Abe knows. A caretaker, right? Very good. Did you just look that up on your phone? Is your phone? Okay.
It's already been done.
A steward is a caretaker. The steward does not own the money or the property that the steward is taking care of. So a king is the owner, right? The king owns the money, the king owns the land, and say the king's going away for a little while, he puts the steward in charge. So the steward's supposed to make good decisions with the money and the property, but he owns nothing. And that's the concept that the church has adopted, and not just this church. Most churches you'll hear the word stewardship. Because what you're doing is taking care of the resources God has given us. Okay? So say Zach donates $2,000 next month to the church, and the church is like, and they throw it in the dumpster.
I want to find
That's not taking very good care of the gift that's been given us. It's still kind of Zach's money, although he gave it to us, but we're just kind of throwing it away. They call that bad stewardship. Making bad investments, sometimes just the way we spend money, if it's considered like not a worthy cause that we spend it on, we call that bad stewardship. But we are the caretakers of what God's provided, and so that's what a steward is. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so when you're talking about stewardship, you're not just talking about a November campaign. You're actually talking about the way the church cares for the donations that have been given, the way it cares for the property. So there are actually ways you could be a steward yourself, the way you take care of the things in this church that you come into contact with. Do you come and do you think, I'm going to make this place better than when I came here, when I leave, That's the kind of thing, like really caring for the resources. And sometimes that's even people. People can be resources. so you can care for the people that God has entrusted to care, for us to care for. So that's the concept. It's care. We don't own it, obviously, but we are called to care for it. So if you want to write anything about stewardship, up in that top box if you haven't already. And then there's another word, the tithe. That's what you were trying to say. What was it? What did you call it? I liked what you called it. Tithy. The tithy. Who knows what tithe means literally? It actually means something.
Money?
No.
Oh, much sugar.
It has to do with money. Actually, it pretty much relates to money.
Ooh, close.
Anybody know what tithe means?
Oh, that's really nice pencil.
Well, write this on your paper. It means a tenth. Tithe is a tenth.
Oh, 10.
That is 20?
Tenth.
Wait, I like put
Jeff?
1 over 10. Wouldn't 20 be a 20th?
A tithe is a tenth.
And then a 20th.
What's an offer? Oh, wait.
Twice.
I don't know
It's a
any
twice.
other words like that that mean
Wait, twice. Wait, how
another
do you do a second?
fraction value.
A 2 is a 20th.
I know what offering is.
Yes, and then there's a thrice.
What about 13?
13 would be a
So,
thirtices.
back in the day, this is a very early day. It's actually like in Genesis, so it's very early on in the Bible. Jacob, I don't know if you know the name Jacob, but he was one of the sons of Joseph, or he was the father of Joseph. Yeah?
How do you spell this?
How do you spell tithe? It's on there. Tenth, Tenth. 1/10. You can do 1/10.
Tithe is on
Drop the S in there.
paper.
What?
Is it T-I-T-H?
Or is it
It's
T-I-C-H-E?
in the box.
I don't know if it's
Ow.
yes or it's
It's on the top.
Ow.
It doesn't matter, Jonathan.
Ow.
You can just read on the
Ow.
So Jacob was, he's the guy that was wrestling with God. I don't know if you know that story, but he had this long wrestle with an angel, or we're not quite sure what he was wrestling with. But he wouldn't let this angel go until the angel blessed him. And so they wrestled and wrestled for what seems like weeks, but it was probably days. And at the end of it, Jacob is injured by the angel, and the angel finally blesses Jacob and gives him a new name. You know what his name was?
What was it?
Israel. Interesting, isn't it? His name got changed to Israel, which means, do you know what Israel means in Hebrew? It means one who struggles, one who suffers. So Jacob wrestles with God. Guys, stop talking. Cole, do you need to come up here?
No.
All right, stop. So Jacob wrestles with God. God finally wins by injuring Jacob, changes his name to Israel, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. And that means wrestles with God, struggles with God. And at that point, Jacob said, from this point forward, he built a little altar at that site, and he said, from this point forward, I'm going to give a tithe to God, 1/10 of what I make. So that's where the beginning of the tithe was for a lot of people, and there was customs regarding tithes at that day. But so the church still preaches the tithe. It's kind of interesting because it's such an old practice, you know. But they still, you'll hear an encouragement every now and then from Eric or somebody else that says, we'd love it if you gave 1/10 of your income to the church. And I don't know how you feel about 1/10 of an income, but sometimes that can feel difficult to do. And you don't have to start with 1/10, but that's the desire, is to give 1/10. And I would say to that also that you don't have to give 1/10 to the church necessarily, but it is a healthy and common and advised practice to give whatever you make, you give 1/10 of it away, and you save 1/10 of it. The rest of it, do whatever you want. And this is something that you should really actually write down and carry for the rest of your life so you don't get into trouble. But everything you make, so you make $100 babysitting, you put $10, you give $10 to the church or to some other nonprofit organization, or if you personally know somebody in ministry or a missionary, you can give it to them, whatever. Because the tithe goes to God. The tithe isn't just the church. But you give $10 away, and then you give $10, you put $10 in your savings account. So that's just a practical, smart thing to do with your money. Anybody have money? Yeah. So if you haven't done that practice with it, you might want to start now and say, all right, I got this money here. I need to give away 10% and I need to save 10%. And you will be successful. So
Wait, you're supposed,
keep 10% in savings, 10% you give away to somebody.
okay, but then what are you supposed to do with the rest of the $80?
Well, that's up to you. You can spend it.
No,
You can use it for bills. You could save more.
no, I like have a savings account and I hide all my money in it.
Yeah, so give 10% of it away and the rest of it just leave there.
Nobody knows where it is, my parents don't even.
That's alright.
Great.
I didn't announce that.
He's got money on him now. Go give it away. Now, why do you guys think it's important to give money away?
So you're not selfish?
So you're not selfish. That's probably the biggest reason. Did you have another answer? Yeah. God knows full well the problem that we have holding on to stuff. Whether it's money or whether it's electronics, but stuff. And so I think that the encouragement to give away 10% of your stuff is just to say, stop holding on to stuff around you. Stop thinking about what you're going to get for Christmas. And live your life to the fullest. Get away from your stuff. How often do you make a decision based on your stuff? Hopefully you're free of that and it's not holding you back.
Like when there's fire drills, I grab my phone first.
And then my friend.
No, I don't even grab my phone.
Yeah.
I just walk out.
So what do you think, one more thing and then we'll go. What do you think Jesus had to say about the tithe?
Yeah, money. Money,
Yay.
money, money.
Hey, more money for me. No.
Anybody else? What? He loved the tithe? No, I don't think so. I don't think Jesus loved the tithe.
Money.
Anybody got ideas?
I would love it.
Okay, well there's a story, yes?
He didn't want people to give their money to him because he wanted them to have it for themselves.
No.
Dang it.
I thought you were going to be like, he wanted him to give it to the government, but that would be taxes. But no.
Bad guy.
What Jesus said, when the guy said, I've done everything you've asked, what do I have to do now? And Jesus said, give all your money to the poor and then come and follow me. All of it. 100%. There's a story about a guy and a woman who are bringing the offering into the temple. And the guy has this load of change and he just kind of, splashes it in there so it makes all kinds of noise. And then this woman goes over and she puts in one coin, which isn't worth diddly compared to what the guy just put in. And Jesus says about these two people, blessed is the woman because she put in all she had. And the man gave out of his wealth. He was just putting in a fraction of what he had. She put everything in. So that's Jesus' tithe, 100%. I don't even know the word for that.
Twice.
So if you can rise to that level, go for it. But so when the church talks about a tithe, it might seem kind of like arbitrary or it might seem controlling, but really it's a pretty minor amount that they're asking you to give. So, anyways, Any questions?
No.
Okay, let me pray for you. God, make us wise stewards of what you've placed in our care. And some of us here, I'm sure, feel like we don't have anything in our care. But I think if we looked around us, we'd really find out that you've blessed us with so many things, with people and with houses and cars, and help us to just appreciate, take care of it, not hold on to it too tight, and be willing to give it back to you. We thank you. Amen.
Amen.
You can have a chocolate on the way out, just only one.
Thank you.
Popcorn, wait, don't have it.
Is there popcorn? Oh wait, you don't have
That's regular popcorn.
Oh wait, come to the.
I never made it home.
My Rice Krispies.
Sure.
Oh wait.
Not okay.
Hey, Cole, give me one.
I'm getting Rice Krispies.
What? No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was not.
You gotta clean up
Not
after
bad.
You get out of the way, Kathy.
You were in my way.
You were in my way. Baby, won't you come?
Will, let me stop it?
Yeah.